What's up, everybody? It's your boy Kittie back with another live stream, jamming out on the weekend, hanging out with everybody, trying to get back to doing these live streams again. I appreciate everybody that's tuning in right now. Felt like it was important to go live today. Obviously, there's a lot of crazy shit going on in the world right now. As I try to fix my camera here a little, it's a tough time, but I wanted to go live. There's a cool anniversary I wanted to talk about, do a little version of our classic albums revisited series. And today on the docket, we have Kittie and their debut album Spit, which turned 25 today, or at least officially turned 25 in the way we know it. Was actually released limited in late 1999 on a small label, Dillinger Compound. I returned. How you feeling, Dillinger Compound? How's everybody? How are you doing over there? Not sure if this will be a live stream for you, but maybe. We're going to talk about Kittie for a little while. Not too long, but a little bit. And and there goes the camera. That's hysterical. That is unbelievably funny. I thought that was going to happen. Hold on one second, everybody. That is really funny. Oh, the humanity. That is some funny shit. Technology. It only works when it works, you know? Give me 1 second, everybody. That's pretty great. I thought I had it pretty secure here. And then it just came crashing down. And the walls came tumbling down. This will work better as a podcast now. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? There's not much you can do. What can you do? What can you do? I'll be back in 1 more second. Live and direct. This should work. And if not, we'll just go to audio only. That should work just nicely. All right. All right. Boom. Back. Yo. Pitmaster Perry, what's up? What's up? Good to see you. I'm back. Thanks for everybody tuning in. We got some people that are watching. Appreciate everybody for being here. Thanks so much. So we're going to talk a little bit about Kittie today. But like I said, that it's not lost on me that Southern California is on fire. Yeah, that's cool. You knew somebody that was a dear friend. I'll turn the ticker off. As you know, Kittie from ghostcultmag.com. We're your one-stop shop for metal content, music news, reviews, interviews, all the things. And we do these videos here. Night Gamer is here, and Scott is here. A lot of people are jumping in. What's up? What's up? So yeah, we'll kill the banner. But ghostcultmag.com's been your place to go since 2012. Going to be 13 years this year. Dillinger is back. So they're very cool. Yeah, lots to unpack to talk about Kittie. They made kind of like a video today saying, they have a lot of stuff going on for 2025 to celebrate Spit. They're still playing a lot of that stuff live. It's still their most popular release. They put a new record out in 2024 that was their comeback record, first record in 13 years. London, Ontario represents always. And I think Kittie is one of the more interesting bands ever, really and truly. They came along at an interesting time, right at the crux of late 90s metal and new metal. And they kind of catapulted to fame on the strength of their bands and their live performances in that record. And I think carved their own path very quickly. It's always very hard for a young band. They start out as teenagers, and even back then there's discussions about how good they were, and the reviews were not always glowing, but they were great. They persevered. I think they were great. I saw them very early on, one of their first tours, the Snowcore tour. And I saw them first opening in 2000, then I saw them again in 2001. So I thought they were pretty great. They ended up on Ozfest and grew into this thing. So I thought it would be a good time to just talk about Spit and Kittie and their origins. For a second, formed in the mid 90s as a middle school band in junior high school, metalheads. That was the main thing they were interested in. They always cited very heavy, extreme, respectable bands as their influences. And again, Dillinger Compound mentioned their father, Dave, who passed away some time ago, was instrumental in guiding their early career. I'm sure they would say the same still to this day. Got to be very hard to lose your parent early, who is, a guiding light, not just your parent, but also your band manager in a lot of ways. That it blew up out of nowhere. But again, I think they really worked really hard. And interestingly enough, the small record label that originally signed them had passed on them a few times before signing them, saw them live, and then signed them to a 4-year deal. And then that label got gobbled up by another label, Artemis Records, which people do know Artemis Records from the early 2000s. So hard. Add to the fact they broke out of Canada while gaining a U.S. audience. As a Canadian band, super hard, especially back then. Bloodfire Jeff is passing by. What's up, Bloodfire Jeff? They did have a unique presence, Pitmaster Perry. That is correct. Appreciate you for contributing here on Instagram. Appreciate everybody for chiming in. That's watching. Appreciate you. So, let's talk a little bit about Kittie. Of course, again, Spit, there's the album cover of the debut album. Interestingly enough, Talena Attenfeld is pictured on the cover. This is the reissue cover. We'll show the original cover that people haven't seen a lot of. Talena is on this album cover, but she didn't play on the album. That was Tanya Candler. I highly recommend watching both the Kittie documentary as well as the Kittie reunion concert. Those are both streaming. I think they're both on Tubi and also on Prime if you have Amazon Prime. And again, I think a real groundbreaking band in a lot of ways. Just classic albums revisited. This is an ongoing series. Sometimes these will be edited in advance. Sometimes there'll be a live stream like this. We're going to bring back some album reviews on the channel this year across things. So I'm pretty excited about doing all these things for 2025. And we still have 2024 content. We're rolling out a lot of stuff. You'll be getting my albums of the year video very soon. Got a ton of respect. We're going to talk all about it. They were co-signed by a lot of bigger bands, which really was heartwarming if you think about it. But I'll talk about that all in a second. There's definitely some Kittie in the Pantera home video 3, which is super interesting. And just a reminder, we got some resources in the description about the California wildfires. There's a big Google Doc. If anybody out there has been going through it, I'm really sorry. I live in Northern California. Usually fire season up here is the summer, and it's pretty scary, even though I live in San Francisco. It's pretty upsetting. We have a lot of people down in LA, a lot of bands. And like I said on my live stream the other night, yes, the major mainstream news, as usual, is focusing on celebrities because that's what gets clicks. But please keep in mind that Los Angeles County and the Los Angeles area and Southern California is a very working class community. It's not just Beverly Hills and Bel Air and the Hollywood Hills and actors and musicians. And a lot of them are suffering and got burned out of their homes. But regular people also lost lives and got burned out of their homes. Super sad. And like I said, we got some resources if you need them. And just a reminder again, our 2024 coverage is still rolling out through January. Stay tuned to our socials and our website for that. And just a reminder, this is done on StreamYard. If you're interested in streaming just like we do, feel free to, except for y'all on TikTok. Unfortunately, you don't get to see this, but we'll talk about TikTok in the next video tomorrow and the fate of TikTok and what to do if you're on TikTok and you're freaking out. We'll talk about that tomorrow. But yeah, we're on StreamYard here. Feel free to sign up with the link in our description to get all the streaming tools we use to get a discount on your subscription, and we get a discount on our next bill, which is super cool. So yeah, here's the original. Let's just blow this up on the screen a little bit. Here's the original Kittie album cover. This is from November 1999. Very reminiscent of still the same Kittie logo all these years later. I don't think they ever really changed their logo all these years. and super excited about that they're still using it. And this very out of focus, weird photo of them. I guess they, spent a lot of money to make this record, recorded with Garth Richardson, infamous album producer of many rock and metal albums, most notably the Rage Against the Machine debut album and a bunch of other things. But he worked very closely with Kittie on their first two records, as we'll see. And this was put out on NG Records, which then immediately got swallowed up. A lot of times when a record label buys another record label, subsumes another outlet, that's because of the talent on their roster to have them under contract and get that talent. So Artemis saw an opportunity with Kittie and the other bands on that label. I think Finger 11 was on Artemis Records. I feel like Creed was on Artemis Records before they were on Wind Up, along with Evanescence around the same time. So this album comes out, but it really was widely released on January 11th, 2000. They pressed about 8,800 records. They immediately sold out in the first week. Morgan talked about this today, that they were just shocked to shit that it sold out immediately. And, their first single, Brackish, is still their biggest single. It's their biggest song on streaming. It's the song everyone knows. It's what everybody is waiting for at their show. They still want to hear that very first jam. And, Brackish kind of sat in the middle of power groove metal, kind of very reminiscent of your Panteras and your Seven Dusts and modern metal at the time. This is really pre-metalcore, or really metalcore not the way we know it now. And metallic hardcore is a thing, and there's like a little new metal and industrial metal element running through that song and other songs on Spit. And I know that it was seen as a novelty that there was an all-girl metal band. There was also Drain STH, which very few people remember, but I was a huge fan of. Drain was a very Alice in Chains sounding band. What up, Curtis? My hetero life mate and best friend is here. Morgan is passing by. What up, Morgan? On TikTok. So just talking about Kittie and 25 years of their debut album. And they did put the work in. Like, they did record their debut album. It cost $57,000, I believe. They worked with Garth. He really nurtured them and encouraged their songwriting, basically written by the two sisters, Morgan and Mercedes Lander, and Fallon Bowman, who would end up leaving the group. Tanya Candler had been part of the group and then decided touring and being in a band was not for her. So they got Talena. And Talena was really, a lot of Kittie's music was really for a teenage band, really about empowerment and self-esteem and sexuality. And I think Talena was the person in the band that really pushed the envelope in terms of sort of teenage sexuality and teenage womanhood. And, I don't know if it hurt them or helped them too much, but, they also had other people come in and out on guitar and bass at different times over the years. The lineup would change and take shape. But, Spit became a big deal. They toured, like I said, a lot. They were supposed to open for Pantera, and then Philip, I think, broke a rib horsing around. So that tour was canceled, and Kittie ended up finishing the year 2000 doing their first headline tour ever, rather than just, had never really done a full tour by themselves, and they did. And they really earned their bones playing all over the world for the first couple of years of the band no one is here and says, Charlotte introduced me to Kittie first and then Brackish. You bought the CD. Blown away. A lot of us were blown away. And, what I always say, again, I've been doing music critique for almost 20 years, right? And I played in bands for a very long time. I have a minor in musicology. I studied journalism. Unlike most people that do streaming and do music news websites, there's not a lot of music journalism anymore. And we're seeing in social media, the truth is being kind of shitted on and not respected anymore. So I try to bring that perspective and unique difference whenever I do what I do. But, Kittie, the reviews were very mixed on them, but I think they were loved. Oh yeah. I was going to talk about Trish, man. I miss Trish. Trish is wonderful. I got to meet her. They really built a fan base They really built a huge fan base, organically, like the right way, touring. They toured. They're not industry plants. They didn't come from famous musicians. They had a vision, they had a dream, and they took a lot of shit. I was personally in audiences that were not feeling them, and they played their heart out. And I watched them several times convert audiences that were not them. I saw them open for Fear Factory on the Snowcore tour, and the Fear Factory fans were a bunch of fucking fat neckbeards like me doing this fucking shit and not giving a fuck. And then by the end of the show, by the time Charlotte and Brackish were played, people were fucking down. So thank you, No One, for coming in and talking about Charlotte. Again, the track listing here, Spit was the opening track. Charlotte next, Suck, Do You Think I'm a Whore? Brackish, of course, Johnny, Trippin', Raven, Get Off, Choke, Paper Doll, which was one of my favorite songs by them, and Immortal, the final track. A very strong record, no skips. I mean, a very strong record. I'm pretty sure if you have this record in your collection on CD, you still owe Columbia House like a few bucks, right? $100 or something. I think it's pretty funny. But it was definitely a period of time, the year 2000 in metal. We were having kind of a changing of the guard between the old school 90s metal bands, the Roadrunner bands, and some of the more mainstream bands, and the underground that was kind of bubbling up, and new metal at the same time. Like I said, Kittie kind of lived in the Venn diagram of all these things, but would quickly pivot and change right after this record. Again, rest in peace, Trish. She was a later member of the band and sadly died. A really sweet person. No One also says, I love Evolutions. Yep, I talked about that right before you joined, that everybody should go see that documentary, as well as the reunion concert that had everybody still living show up and be in the concert, which I think is wonderful. Choked. Yeah, Fallon was great. She didn't last in the group too long, but she was she helped them be distinctive. And by the way, in the pre-Linkin Park time, Kittie was one of the first bands to hit the mainstream that had two vocalists battling, kind of like complementing each other. Morgan could sing heavy, and her heavier voice got better and better, to the point where she's doing black and death metal vocals on the next record and continuing to this day. But Fallon's kind of grit and hardcore voice, was very a really good blend with Morgan's melodic stuff. So, and Mercedes also does vocals now, and I think she kind of always, had the ability to do vocals from behind the drum kit there. And she sings in her own projects as well. But yeah, Fallon, Choke, man, Choke and Paper Doll were really my favorites. To have this many, in the CD era where the whole, you could just skip to the songs you like. There was really was a whole full listen. I really appreciated this record. And again, Garth did a great job with them. They wrote their own songs. He just kind of guided them a little and, helped them improve. But, it's their creation. They didn't need the different kind of songwriter who could write it for them. They didn't need people they were able to write their own songs even at a young age. So they wrote these songs when they were 14. This record comes out when they were 16, 17. And the next record comes out when they're 18, 19, 20. So, Next Level. Absolutely. I'm a huge fan of Oracle. I just got the vinyl a year ago. So 2023, they put out the Record Store Day vinyl repress that I was very happy to pick up. That was an essential for me. And I believe there will be, like I said, today online, Morgan teased that there will be some celebratory things. I would imagine maybe they got the rights back. They would have to get the rights back for this to put a new version out on vinyl. I'm sure some other companies have it. I'd like to think that with their new records deal on Rise Records, that they may have gotten the rights back, which would be so sick. Morgan is great. Here again is Telena. Didn't last super long in the band, but had an impact. And like I said, kind of biting the crotches out of blow up dolls and dildos on stage from a young girl. I know it definitely was shocking to see and put off on people, but I don't know that these things, there was so much interesting women-led bands in the late 90s and early 2000s. OTEP would come and debut right after this, and Butcher Babies came around a few years later, and Human Waste Project, which was a huge inspiration to Kittie, that I'm a huge fan of, and a few other bands that I can think of. Manhole and Tora Satana with Terry B, who's incredible and still making music at this point today. Put a record out a few months ago. Definitely on my honorable mentions for 2024. But yeah, Telena definitely made an impact live with them. I think at the heart of the band after Fallon, it really is all about the sisters, and as it would have to be in terms of, it's so tough to make it in the music industry. You gotta really buckle down and be on the same page mentally, financially, organizationally. It's not a word, but you know what I mean. Tanya, yeah, sorry. I say Telena, Tanya, sorry. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, it's a long time ago. And I was playing in bands at that time myself. So this is, a long time ago in my life also. Piercing Metal is here. What up? One of my other best friends in the whole world, and a great website and YouTube channel to follow, Piercing Metal. Sadly missed the boat on Kittie when they were launching many years later, supporting their live efforts. Yeah, they're so good live, even to this day, Ken. I was lucky to see them. I'll talk about that in a minute. This is the CD. I don't know. Again, if you have this physical CD still, you probably owe money to Columbia House. But I love that it's got like the studded collar as the CD art. It's super fun. So yeah, good times, real good times. Can't wait for them to come back. Oh, South Florida, nice one, no one. Yep. Are they playing Rockville? I think it's very possible that they will continue to play festivals and do some touring. I did miss they didn't really play the West Coast yet, other than the festivals. So I am looking forward to them doing a proper tour. They live in different places, all over the globe in some cases. So I know that's hard for them. So they have to kind of, work it out logistically, but I do hope they're going to do some extensive touring, or a bigger band would take them out. Would be very fitting for Pantera to announce another headline tour outside of the Metallica dates and announce Kittie as an opener. I think it would be sick. Here's the Charlotte EP, the Paper Doll EP, which came out like in the span between Spit and Oracle, with a remix of Paper Doll and some other tracks. I had this as well. I don't have it anymore. I wish I did, but this is real fun. With the bleeding eyes and hands, always very evocative with the artwork and envelope pushing, which I think was important back then, as a means to, again, overcome. There was this criticism of them. And, I always say, even today, when you have a young artist, you need to judge slowly. We talked about this. One of our interviews on the channel is with Malcolm Brickhouse. He's a solo artist now. He used to be in the band Unlocking the Truth, and he talked about this kind of being a kid, and everybody gave them a lot of respect and courtesy and encouragement. But the Linda Lindas are a punk band of teenage girls on Epitaph Records, and there were people who don't want to see them. They opened for Green Day and Rancid, and people didn't want to see them, but they held their own in front of stadiums and arenas and amphitheaters. Yeah, if they're doing Hellfest and Grass Pop, then France and Belgium, of course, that means that they're probably touring Europe all summer, which means if they're going to tour the US again, other than festivals, it would have to be in the fall, I am guessing, because Hellfest is June, Grass Pop is June, July. We've covered those festivals before. I would love to go to Hellfest myself in person. And then, of course, here's Oracle. I want to say not quite. I'm going to say 19 months after Spit comes out worldwide, Oracle is released in late 2021. And again, produced by Garth Richardson, and immediately a level up, even from the first record. And of course, people still want to hear brackish, but Oracle's What I Wanted. Oh my God, right? That song is so brutal. Yeah, of course. Yep. Thank you, Nolan. I appreciate all this feedback and intel on the band. I could tell you're a real diehard fan, of course. Excuse me. But yeah, Oracle is fantastic and just really, they kept getting better and better and heavier and incorporating other kind of things into their sound. And like I said, we mentioned briefly, Ken, before you showed up, was a couple of people shouting out Trish. Again, rest in peace, Trish Doan. Yeah, Vakken. Yeah. That would be sick. They deserve it. I don't know if they ever played there before. I had the pleasure of I've interviewed the band. Here's a picture of me with 3 of the 4 members of Kittie at Sick New World 2023, unfortunately canceled for 2025, which would have been their 3rd time on the festival. They played last year again. Had a great interview with them. This is sort of was a teaser for the album For Fire that came out this year. And but it was really great catching up with them. They remembered me from meeting me in person. Yeah, Trish was such a rocker, man. What a shame. Like, check on your people, call on your people. It's just unfortunate what happened to Trish. But yeah, this is me with the band. It was really funny. I always tell the funny story where Mercedes saw me across the room, and I mean, I didn't have this whole beard, and other than that, I look kind of the same as I did 15 years ago. And Mercedes is like, "Goes Cold, hi, Goes Cold." It's like one of the funnier things that ever happened to me. I don't get recognized a lot in public. Sometimes, a couple of times, people have saw me and been like, "I know you. Aren't you on YouTube or something?" So. But they were so cool, and I did not get to interview them for the Fire record. I would still hope to get an interview with them again at some point. Big fan. Yeah, man. So sad for Trish. She was the best. But they've got a great little band now. Here's the Fire album, really fantastic. Every single thing, it's a banger. I listened to it again today on top of Spit and some other hits that came up on Spotify while I was getting ready to do this show. And absolutely love this record. Do they know? I mean, I tagged them. They'll probably see it after. I don't expect people to be sitting around waiting for this. Again, I think Mercedes moved to Europe with her partner, if I'm not mistaken. So it's late at night there now. But, it'd be cool if they saw this. I thought about it earlier today that I should do this. Again, like I said, Bog Wizard's passing by. Also, I thought that I would, I'll do something tomorrow on the state of TikTok and what to do about that if you're on TikTok and you're worried it's going away, and especially if you make music or you're a content creator, what to do about that. But yeah, thank you very much. It was amazing seeing them. I had interviewed Mercedes in person, like, 2011, and then they went on kind of another hiatus, and then I didn't see them again until 2023, which was great, in Vegas, which was absolutely fantastic. And I interviewed POD that weekend, and I interviewed Scowl that weekend, and really, there were, hey Dillinger, what's up? There are bands, absolutely. There were bands that kind of came, like I said, that came before Kittie, and then right after Kittie kind of became big, Hailstorm was formed. OTEP finally debuted after a couple of years of being an underground thing. Like I said, that you had sort of 90s artists that still went in to the early 2000s, like Drain STH, Amy Echo, and Human Waste Project and her different bands. But they really inspired a whole generation of other music makers. So really cool. I think their impact has been lasting. I think on top of the fact that they are yep, absolutely. I think on top of the fact that they are I love the band. Clearly I have a reverence for this band and respect for this band. I think the fact that they're pretty great people the entire way. You never heard a bad thing about them. You've never heard anybody disrespect them. Dillinger Compound says the underground metal scene always embraced women, not so much the mainstream metal scene. Well, no shit, man. And even the punk scene, as you well know, as much as there are iconic women punk rockers. I've talked a lot about Bikini Kill on this channel. We're probably going to do Bikini Kill on my other podcast as a series at some point. you know, Scowl right now is getting a lot of shit. There are a bunch of other bands that are still getting, Dying Wish and Mothica and bands like that. And Poppy is very divisive to people, even though I think she's a brilliant genius. And, in the UK, you have sort of extreme metal bands led by women. I know Pupil Slicer, I think, is going on a possible hiatus, but Harriot, and obviously Serena Cherry with Svalbard and a bunch of other bands. Rollo Tomasi, who is one of my favorite bands. A lot of these artists, Brutus from Belgium, a lot of these artists owe something to Kittie. Something Kittie paved the way for a lot of these artists. Amen. No one. Amen. I appreciate you. Escuela Grind. Yeah. We interviewed Katarina, and she was really cool. This is before all the drama they had. I hope that they kind of level up a little bit on their maturity, but musically, they're great. Brat is great, the band. Huge fan of theirs. Cheerleader metal. I'm here for it. Feminist cheerleader metal. Winona Fighter has a debut album coming out in the punk rock world. Pixel Grip and industrial electronic metal, phenomenal band we just interviewed on our podcast at Riot Fest from Chicago. So many cool bands, but at the same time, metal has always mostly been welcoming. Underground metal has been welcoming, and maybe Kittie transcended the underground into the mainstream because of Ozfest, because of touring with Pantera, because of metal festivals. And for the most part, I think people, they earn the respect after a very long time of other people. They had to earn that respect. And they put the work in. I don't believe in industry plants or somehow that nepotism is a bad thing. I talk a lot about Vended, which features the two of the sons from Slipknot. And again, if they were no good, you would never hear from them. They'd be just like, again, Lars Ulrich's sons. I've watched them roadie for themselves. Taipei Houston, incredible band, avant-garde kind of alternative metal, basically psychedelic rock and metal. And I watched them open for Melvins, and they sold their own shirts and they roadied for themselves, and nobody was helping them. And I've interviewed them also, and they were really cool. And I'm looking forward to them doing more stuff. So again, not a fan of the term industry plant. And I can vouch for Kittie to say that they absolutely, paid their dues, honestly. Violencia from Mexico is another up-and-coming power balance band. Word the fuck up, word. And even in the more mainstream rock and metal arena, I love, I'm a big fan of The Warning. I think they're phenomenal. I interviewed them. Ken, I think, covered them for his website. And I'm just such a big fan. And we have, hopefully we'll get another interview with them again soon. They put out a new record in 2024. I am not on the Kittie Discord, no one, but I will join right after this. I need to do more stuff. We have a Discord ourselves. I kind of need to spend a little more time on the Ghost Cult Discord, but it's so hard. It's so hard to do all the things, keep up and do all the things. But if you want to drop a comment with a link, no one, I will sign up, but I'll sign up. And then just a reminder, if you've been following our channel, unless you're new here, please like and subscribe. We recently reviewed the Kittie Pig non-alcoholic beer. One of my other podcasts on top of this live stream and podcast series is the Glacially Musical Podcast, Beer, Metal, and Swearing, where we review albums and beers. And Kittie DM'd me on Instagram, Kittie Pig, the beer, and they sent me a 4-pack of the beer, and then I did a taste test video that we posted not too long ago. Sleater-Kinney, full respect, dude. I've seen Sleater-Kinney twice, and huge fan. I also, randomly, I saw, Tegan and Sarah at Riot Fest a couple of years ago, and I was like, I know half these fucking songs. I was blown away. I was like, how do I know this music? And of course, Ginger and Kittie are touring Australia. Of course, Ginger, we've interviewed them before and covered them all over the world. But yeah, you can check it. I'll link it in the video in the description of the YouTube of our review of the Kittie Pig beer. Again, big fan here. I don't drink a lot of non-alcoholic beers, but it surprised me. Gabe is also here. Anti-Moz Beast, What up, sir? So yeah, really much respect for Kittie, pretty much most of them living a sober lifestyle and putting out this non-alcoholic beer. I've had 3 non-alcoholic band beers. I thought they were all pretty varying degrees of decent to good. The Kittie Pig beer is like a very fruity, non-imposing ale, and blonde ales are my jam when it comes to alcoholic beer. So I was a big fan of this non-alcoholic beverage. You can check out our video here, and that's kind of where we landed, man. Spit, 25 years of Spit by Kittie, almost 30 years as a band. Super proud of them for making such a big comeback. They did it their way. They've always kind of done it their way, which is the #1 defining thing you can say about any band. Uncompromised, no fucks to give, making music their way, and so heavy and so good. And again, when bands are young and they start out extra young, oh, nice. How about that? Coincidentally, no one just ordered a 12-pack. That's awesome. Enjoy it. Saskaberry beer, Saskaberry flavored beer, like flavored with their home country. White Swan is phenomenal. I interviewed Mercedes just about White Swan a few years back, actually, around the pandemic, which we talked all about. But yeah, I'm just very lucky that they, have supported Ghost Cult and like us. And again, I hope I get to circle back around with the sisters and get another interview with them at some point to talk about Fire or their next thing. Would they ever come back as a full-time 100% band? I don't think so. I think a lot of these legacy bands that are 25, 30 years old, it's hard for them to do a band full-time. You're seeing that with God Forbid and Shadows Fall. Some bands can keep up the pace and some can't, or they have to take a long break in between. Yep. Talking about Spit. Great album. It's 25 years old today. Yeah, White Swan is awesome. And Stoner Doom is really it's very sludgy. Stoner Doom is my absolute jam. It's really my wheelhouse more than anything else. But I'm just very proud of them. And I thought it was a good opportunity to talk about this. I'm sure they'll catch the video at some point. We'll definitely share it on all our things and our website and tag them. But yeah, Kittie, man, 25 years of Spit. What a cool thing to have happen. And again, stay tuned to Kittie's socials and their website, because I believe they're going to announce more touring and probably a new vinyl version of this album this year. Some kind of re-release. Maybe they will perform the whole album live. That would be pretty cool. But they also have a recent album out, so they've got to kind of pay some justice to that as well. But yeah, hail to Kittie, and hail to all of you for watching. I really appreciate you all. I'm going to hit the road here and wind it down for the night over here on the West Coast. But thanks for watching. Thank you for being here, especially everybody in this lively conversation. Thank you, No One, especially, and Dillinger Compound, and Gabe, and Ken, all the real ones and regulars. Appreciate you all. I will sign up for the Kittie Discord, No One, and see you there. And everybody on TikTok as well. Thank you so much. And as usual, I'm Keefe from GhostCultMag.com. We'll be back tomorrow with another video. Stay tuned to our website and our socials for all the metal and rock coverage. I'm out. Peace.